Thank everybody so much for coming this evening on behalf of the Bonafiglia Family Foundation, the Seneca Falls Development Corporation, and Insight Architecture. We're all very happy to have you here, and we're really excited to share some more information on the downtown Seneca Falls Façade, Storefront, and Revitalization program. Before we kind of dial into that, we thought this would be a nice opportunity to share some information around, other community updates, projects, and events that pertain to our downtown community. So with that being said, I think actually I'm going to maybe start off with Frank, our town supervisor, if you want to kind of come up and talk a little bit about the DRI projects pertaining to Seneca Falls and any other things you might want to mention. 10-minute window for these updates. 10-minute window.
I got about a minute, so. Especially, I do want to thank Judy and the Bonafiglia Foundation for what they're doing for the town. It's a great program, and they're really going all out for us. So I hope everybody takes advantage of it. And I think it's going to work really well. So real quick on the DRIs, the rec center project is completed. Okay, we got the new kayak launch all in there for handicap accessibility. There's a shed out there, you can rent the kayaks right from there, and the skateboard park's done. So this project's completely done. If you looked across the street, you can see they've started that. Now that the weather breaks, they should be going full bore along the canal. All that should be done by October. Our April 1st meeting, we'll be accepting a bid for the museum. That project should start. I think they have 180 days to complete it. So that's going to be going on. If you drove around, you see Miller Street's all tore up. We're fixing all the flooding there, getting all that water out of there. Johnson Street's going to be getting tore up soon. Within the next couple of weeks, all that flooding's going to be resolved. And we're going to be starting shortly the pump station, Kingdom Road. We're going to come down Bear Street. So this town's going to be tore up a lot this year, but it's all good stuff. It's all for the people to benefit. So have patience, and we'll get things done. And call my office if you have any questions or anything going on. So I appreciate you guys all coming here tonight, and thanks again, Judy, for.
Thanks. I have Lisa Fitzgerald, and Frank, and I think there's also Charlie. Frank, I'm sorry. and then Charlie's here. The town has the comprehensive plan, and there's recently been an implementation committee that's been established and has been getting together to kind of discuss and brainstorm how we help to ensure that this plan does not sit on a shelf and that we put that to good use for our community. So have them here if there's anything else you kind of want to say about it, Lisa. Do you want to write anything?
I've been painting, excuse my hands. Hi guys. Thank you for coming. The strategic plan effort it's been a little bit slower in the implementation part because we've done a lot of research trying to understand all the things that have been going on since the adoption of the strategic plan and the community's feedback. And the good news is, I actually have probably two good news is that a lot of stuff is going on. And I'm pleased to see the energy and the excitement. And the other thing is that everything that's going on fits with what the direction was that the community gave us. So we're following the strategic plan, even though we didn't have a full-on comprehensive, our deployment team didn't execute it. We are making progress. We've learned a lot since then and are trying to trim into what are our top priorities, because you can't do, there's probably, 200 action items?
Yeah,
and we probably can't do that by the end of the year. So we're trying to pick our poison and establish the committees so that they can help us execute it. The one thing that we really learned as we started doing this research was that all this good stuff was going on, but people didn't know about it. It wasn't really shared across different community members. And so that's the one thing that we really learned that we need to get better at, is trying to understand and sharing with each other what activities we're doing so that we can support each other, we can build more energy, you know, it just kind of bubbles up and gets better and better if you get that energy going and you collaborate and you share that type of thing. So that's the one thing that we really have learned that we want to try to figure out the best way to address. So there are cards on your table.
We do have some of these, index cards that are around, so in the event, after sitting here and reflecting on the conversation tonight, and are there things that you say, hey, I wish I was more informed about this, or I had no idea that this was going on, or some things that you would like to see, not only pertinent to downtown, but just in general for the synergy and generating awareness, better awareness about what's going on within our community. So we have these index cards, please feel free to write a little something down on those and leave them on the table, and we can collect them at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, we appreciate your feedback as we try to figure out the right strategy that will meet our community needs.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Another DRI project update is that it's a Wonderful Life museum, so have Anway log here to kind of just share a brief update on what's going on her way. And Henry.
And Fred and Jeff.
Oh,
We got
Sarah.
four members here. Okay, yeah, so we've, you may have seen the buildings down there, 32 Fall Street. A lot of progress has been made. Phase 1 of construction's been finished. We're moving on to phase 2. At the same time, we're also starting the whole design process. And I wanted to show you, because a lot of people don't see that, you can go to our website, and there's a video with local folks talking about it, and you'll see more of the plans. So, but this, just to give you the gist of it, when you come in, this is was the marquee for the Globe Theater in New York City where the movie premiered. So we're going to replicate that. We have Hadley exhibits in Buffalo, who's worked for over 30 years or more with Gould, but also on a lot of other projects. And anyway, and then next to it's going to be the movie playing when you come in. And so you really feel like you're at the premiere, and then you go to the theater, which will be called the Fornisi Theater, after Charles Fornisi, who built the building. And this is sort of developed based on the Pantages Theater in Hollywood, which was where the Hollywood premiere was on December 24th. So this will have this kind of great look to it. People are making donations for stars, so that when you press a button, a light will come up, always the same one. That's what we're working on with a star in honor of that person, or there's seat plaques and things like that. So it's moving along really well. We are also have this is the stylized bridge. This is all, concepts, and what this will be is an area that focuses on suicide prevention, and these are like for all the places. It says each person's life touches so many other lives, and so this is like that opportunity where George would stand and look and have all the people whose lives he affected come to him. And hopefully people who come through there would also feel the same way. And they realize how many people affected them. And we're also having an interactive of making Zuzu's petals, which symbolize hope. And people will be able to take them with them or make up one for somewhere else. It's for someone else. And so anyway, those are some of the concepts. It's going to be a large 2-story island within the building. We're gutting the building. And I just have to say, we really thank the state and the DRI, because that building was in a lot worse condition than anybody knew. And it would have, at some point, not, down the road, it would have collapsed and would have been gone. And it's so significant that we really are grateful to the state for helping us make sure that it lives on for many, many years. And anyway, you can ask questions. Fred's got some cards you can take and see the QR code. Anyway, so there we go.
Thank you.
Yeah, and our goal is to have it done by the 80th anniversary, which is December of 2026.
All right.
So we're hoping for that.
Thank you. We have Jeff Rook, who's here to talk a little bit in representation of all the work that he does as part of the It's a Wonderful Run Committee and the museum. So Jeff.
Yeah, so I'm one of the race directors for the It's a Wonderful Run 5K that we do here the second Saturday of December. And about 12 years ago, we purchased some of the cross-street garlands for downtown. And one thing that we've been wanting to do is kind of update the downtown decorations. Lighting, cross-street garlands, you know, the angels, wreaths going around the poles, and we've got some other ideas and stuff. So we've been kind of putting some money aside every year for the race to kind of, you know, to throw at this. We've got about $15,000 that we want to kind of put into the pot. Got together with Judy, and the Bonafiglia Foundation has been kind enough to match that. So we've got $30,000, and the goal is to kind of get to I'd like to get to $100,000 for this year to really decorate that downtown and really have it pop. Because I just, you know, not only for the race sake, but you know, I think Seneca Falls has been, you know, that time frame between Thanksgiving and January 1st. A lot more people. This has become a destination, a winter destination, and people are coming here during that time frame a lot more now than they have in the past. So we really want to get that downtown going, and you know, we want to get some nice lighting and decorations for the race, but also for the town for that time period. So next step is to, you know, maybe get some private entities that would like to donate to the fund for the decorations, and then I'm in touch with a couple different organizations or a couple different companies that do downtown decorations, which is a company out of Syracuse that kind of specializes in commercial or municipal type lighting, and maybe get some quotes on some different things and get a little group together to kind of discuss some ideas of what we can do for that downtown, you know, stretch, you know, which is the kind of the final stretch of the run, but it's also obviously the main, you know, main part of Seneca Falls. So that's what we're doing.
Heidi, you want to come up? Heidi is with the It's a Wonderful Life Committee, so many different committees, and It's a Wonderful Life Committee, they help obviously plan the weekend festival. They also do a lot with Canal Fest, and so going to let Heidi kind of give updates on what she's got going on her way.
So we are planning for this year's It's a Wonderful Life Festival to be December 12th through the 14th. Then we are going to be having our Antonio Varacalli Day on the Bridge Street Bridge on April 26th. We've got all kinds of things planned for that. We're going to be giving out awards. The Elizabeth Cady Stanton students have been asked to write essays, so they will be getting awards. We're also looking for community angels, nonprofit organizations that will nominate one of their members of their organization for going above and beyond. We also have the Antonio Varacalli Day Award that is the community can nominate somebody that is special and celebrates kind of the spirit of Antonio Varacalli. So we are always looking for sponsors and volunteers, anything that you can help with. We appreciate new faces, and if you would like to join us, we'd be happy to have you join us. Thanks.
And then lastly, we have Andy Olden, the Executive Director for the Seneca Falls Museum and Tourism Center, who's going to kind of share some updates on a few things.
Thank you. As Judy said, my name is Dr. Andrew Olden. This is for an update, not December. This is upcoming here. So Summer Thursdays, you may have remembered seeing this poster around town. If it wasn't in one of your business stores, hopefully it is this year. This is an initiative to try to get people downtown, not only for just shopping, a restaurant experience, but to enjoy a time in Seneca Falls. You might also recognize our Music in the Park poster from last year. This will be another iteration this year. This is totally free to go to. This is 11 free concerts in downtown Seneca Falls. As you might be wondering, well, how are you going to do the park? We're not. We're working with Missy Jones this year to do a party in the parking lot, right here at the community center. So whether it's right here in this lot or whether it be behind lot, depending on the size of the band, I just want to remind everybody from 2023, we had 680 visitors. Last year, we had almost 2,300. So that is 2,300 people that were sitting in their homes. There was 2,300 people that were not visiting Seneca Falls. There was 2,300 people over 11 weeks, 12 in this instance, 11 next year, that could be visiting all of your storefronts and businesses. So all we're asking is to support and spread the word. We don't need anything else. Every other week, we're going to do our food, our food runner days. That's much like an Uber Eats if you've been to the city. Basically, you sit in your seat, you enjoy the concert. We work with the local restaurant, say it's Parker's. I see Jim here. So we say we run up to Parker's, we grab the food, we bring it back right to your seat. You don't miss a second of the concert. That keeps food, our people in our community being able to taste our local restaurants. And also, we love our food trucks, but we love our local establishments even more. It keeps the money right here in our community, and you get a chance to support local, you get a chance to not miss a beat. But again, the museum does not get anything from this. All of this is grant funded. Last year, in the last 2 years, we really built up the work. I guess I should say, built up the steam, put in the work, and stay away everybody. The Bonafiglia Family Foundation is now sponsoring this event for us this year because it was such a communal effort. So with that being said, I guess it's to keep in mind and take into consideration, from 4 to 6 p.m. we offer specials in downtown Seneca Falls. Again, this is to create an experience, not just a one-off to pop over from Geneva, say even Rochester, to come down, but to have a full day here. That's 4 to 6 p.m., visiting our local establishments, bringing guests in our stores at the very least. And then from 6 to 8, we have our concerts right here in the, not park, but the community center. But with that being said, then from 8 to 10, we ask that you might consider offering specials just for those visitors to stay around. Something new for 2025, other than the parking lot, is this year we're working with Steiger's Marina to offer boat rides to and from the concert. You might have heard of their Tiki Cruises, something else. This year you can go get on the boat at 6 o'clock at Steiger's, show up here at 6:45. There's no alcohol at our concerts because this is a family-friendly event. I don't care what you all do before, you're adults. So you could easily join the boat ride, have a great time, whether it's boozy bingo, just on the ride. You get off here, you enjoy the concert, you head back. The museum gets $5 out of that. It's a big ask for only a $30 ride. So with that being said, we got a ton of great things going on. Please send me an email. I'm happy to give you my card here or at another time. But at the very least, stop by the Museum and Tourism Center. We just put in a new tugboat exhibit from the Bonafiglia Family Foundation. We totally redid our boater amenities area with the help of the Erie Canal Heritage Corridor Fund. And we continue to bring great things. So keep an eye out for our September 20th Art Festival. And then additionally, for the 4th of July, we're going to offer members-only opportunities and plenty of great ways to see the symphony going across the other side of the canal. Ooh. So if you will, please stop by the museum soon. I'll be stopping in your store. If you don't, please brush me off. Would love to continue to build this atmosphere, again, not just for one thing, but to sell a whole day here in Seneca Falls. I'm not from this area, but I love it wholeheartedly. I just ask that you continue to support our effort to bring this town continually forward. So thank you all.
The last update before I have James kind of kick off the program and learn a little bit more about that. The SFDC obviously has had involvement with the DRI award funds and have been assigned to some of those projects. And so Greg was kind of going to give just a brief update on the ones that he's kind of been helping to kind of keep track of.
Yeah, there are, so the SFDC, in addition to the DRI, the Building Improvement Fund, Farmers Market, we do our best to try to help drive economic development. I'm part-time, or supposed to be part-time. Our board is volunteer. This year, we expanded our board because of the additional responsibilities, tasks, and our goals for Seneca Falls. We feel the community is really starting, and it's the word we get from people outside the community, that it's about to pop. You know, they love the energy here and the potential. So of the DRI was a $10 million grant for downtown. The SFDC oversees 2 of those projects. We had 3, but one had to pull from the project, unfortunately, due to passing of a family member. So we have Dove Block that we're overseeing, which is the corner where Blush is, right in the corner of Fall and State. So I've only lived here 12 years. And then also where El Baguio is, 74 Fall. 74 is in progress. They're in the bidding and getting renovations done inside and improvements. Dove Block is a little slowed because the owner passed away, and we're in the middle of probate stuff. You all probably know how quick that runs. But both projects are still in motion. On the building improvement fund side, we oversee 10 projects, half are complete, and the other half, we got an extension for a year from COVID issues. But I want to keep inside here 10, which are already well past. But you can always reach out if you want updates. It's all, you know, but we can chat about all of it. Seneca is finished where Seneca Stable Restaurant is. Their project's done. 69 Fall Street is complete. Little Italy is complete. Seneca Falls Performing Arts Center is kind of, I believe there's out of 3 or 4 steps, there are a couple in. So over the next year, you'll see all these kind of programs kind of hitting, and that's why we think this program would be great, because if we have between DRI, the Building Improvement Fund, the Micro Enterprise Grant that will be running again, that Seneca Falls can really just keep its momentum going. Oh, and one quick thing, the farmer's market will also be part of the parking lot, because we don't have the park anymore, so for this year at least. So we will be here at the rec on Tuesdays. All right.
All right, now we're gonna pass the mic off to James Reynolds, who is from Insight Architecture and has been a great teammate in helping the SFDC and the foundation to develop this program. So take it away, James.
Thanks, Judy. Thanks for that update, Greg. Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah. Excellent. No? I'll try my best. Can you hear me now? Perfect. All right, we're gonna kick the lights a little.
That one over there is. That should work.
To help you guys see this presentation, but basically we're going to go through the entire program. And before I go into that, one quick warning. If you see your building on one of these boards, we're going to roast you. No, I'm just kidding. Don't take it personally. We were just trying to use them to illustrate concepts, and if you love them, just apply with that, I'd say. But anyway, this is the kickoff for Downtown Seneca Falls Façade and Storefront Revitalization Program. So every program has lofty goals, and ours are nonetheless lofty as anybody else's. We want to continue to develop Seneca Falls as a destination. I keep hearing that, you know, with all of these updates, there's already this momentum there, and so we're trying to build upon that. And the one way that we think we can do that with the facades that are downtown is through architectural authenticity. You guys have wonderful architecture downtown that's one of a kind. No one ever is going to build it again because, quite frankly, the craftspeople don't really exist anymore, and the materials you'd never get, and you'd never afford to do it. So let's cherish what we have and kind of find ways to enhance that character in an authentic way. And the other thing that we really wanted to accomplish with this program is increase the value of downtown. And I'm not just talking about the typical boring thing you think of, oh, property values increased. Yeah, that's great. But what I really mean by value isn't just that. It's the value of downtown to the residents and to the people that are passing through. We want to create a cycle of reinvestment with the downtown. And so every time you can convince somebody to walk their dog after dinner through the downtown instead of through their neighborhood, that's one more person that's going to see a storefront ad. It's one more person that might find out about partying in the parking lot. You get my drift? So increasing the value of downtown as a destination for locals and tourists is important with this. And it's going to be local investment, so it's really got to come from within. And we also between Greg at the SFDC and the Bonafiglia Foundation and the experiences I've had administering many of these grant programs that have been through the DRI and through the New York Main Street, I've seen a lot of the pros and cons that these programs have, and I've seen a lot of the hoops that people have to jump through. And so we put our heads together to try to design a program that has the least amount of hoops you have to jump through. And so I'm hoping that you guys are, with bated breath, at the edge of your seats, wanting to see how, what are the parameters here, because this is kind of exciting stuff. And of course, my computer's working. All right. So, the target area. Every program has to have boundaries. So, for this first round, we are going to use the boundary here. And for those of you that can't quite read the map, I'll just talk it through a little bit. This is Walnut Street, and the boundary extends a little to the west of that, and then all the way down Fall Street until you get kind of to the other side of the It's a Wonderful Life Museum. So just a little bit past Cayuga. And then we didn't want to forget our friends across the canal. Yeah, so we've got the second district included here. So this would be round one. If you're not in the boundary, don't fret. The boundary is malleable, so round two, it might change a little bit. Round three, it could change a little bit more. So this is just kind of what we've got for the first round. And we also are very well aware that your wonderful downtown and this entire boundary is within the historic district boundary. And so I've got that map up here as well to kind of remind you that, that will be part of this overall process is, presenting this work and getting their authorization for all of these projects. But I have no fear that that will be easily doable because we'll propose good projects. So, getting started, what are these program details? There's been $360,000 earmarked for projects within this target area. And unlike most of these other grants that you may have been aware of, this is not a reimbursement grant where they pay you at the end and you have to go finance the whole thing up front. So that's great. Applicants then are eligible to apply for up to 75% of their total eligible project cost for this, or with an upper limit of $150,000. So that's a considerable project budget there. For this first round, only exterior work is eligible. So we're not trying to grab all of the deferred maintenance or roof replacements with this one. We really want this to be noticeable exterior work. And one caveat is for this first round, we are not including the canal side for this first round. We would like to focus Fall Street facades for this first, and I guess Sackett's district facades.
The fronts versus
the fronts versus the backs for this first round. And we anticipate that it will be quite competitive. So we're going to score all of the applications very objectively using a scoring metric, which I'll dive into later because I love nerdy metrics, and soon you will too. And only building owners or tenants that have site control can apply. So don't pull a fast one on your building owner and apply for this and expect to just get a huge construction project done without getting signed off. All right, any questions so far? All right, I'll keep chugging. Applicants are also, they should definitely use the design guidelines. We've got 3 copies up here, and I'll go through a little bit through them at the meeting today. But it should help to inform your project. We've developed the design guidelines in conjunction with the existing historic preservation guidelines that you guys have for your community now. And we also kind of fed them through to the Historic Preservation Commission to get their sign off. But the goal is really to just develop what you've got already and provide many great examples and illustrations and best practices to help kind of create a lookbook so that when you're trying to think of what you can do to enhance your building and increase its authenticity, its architectural authenticity, it will help you to do that. And it'll also give you good historic preservation methods because all of the techniques that are in the guidelines have been vetted through the Secretary of Interior standards, which is what anybody is going to use when they're evaluating that. And then also, like I mentioned, the metrics will be a large part of that scoring process. So the guidelines will help you score high. If you want to score high, read the guidelines, be the guidelines, design the guidelines.
And as James mentioned, so we have met with the Historic Preservation Commission and kind of made them aware of the program and collaborated with them to ensure that, what we're doing, that they're supportive of, and they got to review the design guides, which again, just kind of mirror what already exists. So we're very grateful to Lynn Bovee, who is the chair, and the committee to kind of be supportive of the program and assist us in this process. I don't know if Lynn, you have anything else to add while we're on the subject?
No, just actually, even though the businesses also have to comply, most of the people that come to us are residential, and so, the outward things are not that important. But we were really, happy to meet with you and to make sure that, the guidelines is not butt heads with ours.
Right, thanks, Lynn, thank you so much. Right.
So, you might be interested, this program, it sounds like it's an easy thing to apply with, it sounds like it's a good fit for you, you don't like jumping through a lot of hoops. What's the first step? Well, there's a 3-step process for this, and the first is a letter of intent. And the big thing you need to know about this letter is that it's due April 7th, so it's only 2 weeks from now. Better get on it. And if you need a little bit of help going through the letter, it's not very difficult. You're going to have to apply, put your name, put your address, that kind of stuff. But it's going to ask you one very important question. And it's going to ask you this question right here, which is, do you already have a full scope and a design, and you've got even a quote, and you just need a little bit of help and you're ready to go? That'd be wonderful. Or is it something where you don't quite know what you want, you kind of have an idea in mind, but you need a little bit of design assistance? Oh, well, if you circle that, or C, I don't even know, but I want to participate, well, then you'll be able to get a little bit of design assistance from me, and some of the other folks at my firm will be able to come visit with you and help you flesh out your design.
Yeah, so to that point, one additional kind of service that the SFDC and the foundation has kind of incorporated again when we've really been considering streamlining the process and eliminating barriers. So again, to James's point, if you're someone who says, yes, I want to participate in this project, but I haven't even begun, but I know what work I want to accomplish, or I have no idea what I want to do, but I know I want to do something, again, you fill out this letter of intent, and then we have set aside additional funding that's beyond the $360,000 for the grant awards, so that folks can utilize the design service.
And what do you get for this design service? Well, depending on how much you need and the scope of work, we'll be able to kind of meet with you and collaborate on what are your goals for your project and how do they kind of dovetail into what the program's looking for, so you have the most competitive application possible. And then what you get out of it is something cool, like a concept drawing or rendering that kind of itemizes your scope of work very nicely, so that way when you're shopping around to contractors, you can at least show what's going on. But also, that helps us to score, because we can kind of evaluate apples to apples what each of these projects is going to look like whenever they're finished. We'll also help with that scope of work, so when you go to bid, it might have a little bit of spec in it, so that way you can get apples to apples prices for what you're going to be getting quotes for. And then any coordination between the Bonafiglia Foundation or the SFDC that you might need to get your project ready, we're also here to help with. So you kind of get this one-stop shop for everything. And this is just a quick example of what you might get. So in some cases for small projects, we might pick out a new color scheme for you to help you out with that really quick, and then diagram a little bit of where your millwork might need replaced, so that the guy who comes to do it knows what it should look like. Or it might be a bigger project where we actually have to kind of write some larger specifications for what's going to be happening. So just a quick flavor of what you might get. Now, part 2 is the formal application. So everybody who submits a letter of intent will be given the opportunity then to apply with a formal application, which will be a little bit longer and need a little bit more information. So again, we're here to help with finalizing all of these second kind of formal applications. And for this, you'll be expected to provide everything that I'm helping you get. So it's pretty easy. So if you aren't getting any design assistance because you might already have it, this is kind of your checklist for what to have ready for the final application. But it's very similar to what you're getting design assistance for. The only difference would maybe be the proof of financing part for the SFDC. So you would need to show some proof of financing, not for the entire thing, like many other grants, because it's a reimbursable, but just for your 25% match, or whatever match you need to give for the award you're given.
Yeah, and the SFDC and the foundation have kind of done a little bit of homework upfront just to maybe identify some local lenders. That way if people want to participate in the program and they do need some funding support, while you can refer to any local lender that you prefer, if you were someone who maybe didn't know where to start or wanted help or support in that way, we have spoken to some local lenders about the program and briefed them on it and identified a few that are interested in supporting it and helping folks through it. So.
And
So if you have to show proof of financing for that 25%, are we assuming, how do we assume the estimate if we haven't gotten them yet?
yeah, so that would be part of some of the assistance we could provide, is either you could call and just get a quick quote preemptively, or we could help you with just a quick order of magnitude to help you get ready for, a rough idea of what it will be before we go to bid. So there's a couple ways we could figure that out, but I have confidence we can. Okay, so what happens after the applications are done and everybody's scope of work looks cute and it's ready to go up to the shooting gallery and figure out which ones get the award? Well, that will be either in late June or early July, depending on how much assistance I need to provide. So it's kind of if I need to do 15, it might take a little longer. If I need to do 4, might be able to get done, in mid-July even. That would be wonderful. And then while part of that process is making sure that we collaborate with the Historic Preservation Commission in order to kind of show in batch, these are all the projects that are being considered. Is there any red flags, or is there anything you wouldn't consider, appropriate, just to kind of nip that in the bud. So that way there's no instance where that's gonna, hold up any of the pace of this program, hopefully. And then one thing to note is that any permits that you're gonna need to fill out for construction, that's on you. So you're going to be expected to go to the town and pay those permits.
You're on your own.
You're on your own for that one. But you would have known to do that anyway. And then, the BFF is going to meet and score all of these applications once they're all collected. And they'll be able to give out awards based on those eligible expenses. So either we'll have some estimates from contractors already, or we'll have some estimates just from me I can develop in-house. And then within 2 weeks of getting your award, you have to either accept it or stop, and we'll give it to the next person on the list when we go down the scoring roster. So we want this to be quick, no dilly-dallying. If you know you're ready, apply. If you don't hesitate. And then we'll have, depending on the scope of the projects, you'll make an agreement to have the project done within a certain time frame. So not everybody is going to have the same time frame. If you were doing a huge renovation, you might get a year to do your project. If you were doing, some signage, you might get a couple months, because it shouldn't take that long, right? So being flexible in this way instead of having a one-size-fits-all parameter made more sense. And then the great thing about this program that makes it somewhat unique is that the SFDC is actually the one that's going to make the final contract with the contractor on the owner's behalf. And then they will actually be making that payment to the contractor for you. So you're really only going to be subject to whatever payment plan you work out with your lender for the 25%, or if you've got it already, very simple then, you've already got it.
And I do want to point out, so with that being said, it's not that we're selecting the contractors for you to utilize or the people to help you complete these projects. It's just when the time comes to assist with payment that you, through the dollar amount that you were awarded, that'll be handled directly through the SFDC to that contractor or to that group that you're working with.
The goal here is really just to streamline things as much as possible and make the paperwork easy. And then, again, timelines are all based on individual scopes. So, my favorite slide is the scoring metrics. What do you need to know about gaming the system and getting all the money for yourself? Well, this is really what you need to know. So the scoring metrics are broken down into 3 categories. We have design and scope, which is really, I know, it's kind of jarring. Design and scope, which is really covers a lot of the things in the design guidelines. Boundary and impact, which talks a lot about project adjacencies and how it kind of ties into downtown revitalization goals. And then applicant financing, which is boring stuff, but we have to ask about it. So it looks a little bit at the leverage that the applicant has. If the applicant has proof that they might be able to do it with less than a 75% award, things like that. Kind of see how much, how big their project is. You might score higher if you're, doing such a large project, you hit the 150 cap. So now it's like a 40% match. You might score a little higher because you're putting more into the project. That kind of makes sense. All right, and then the next few slides are just an excerpt from the design guidelines that I wanted to just go through to give you guys a flavor of how to use it and what to look for. So that's like the cover. I did a little bit of graffiti of my own, and your historic graffiti. So we start with a little bit of how to. I'll let you guys look at the cute infographics yourself. But it talks about some of the facade design tools that the people who made these buildings use that we can kind of replicate if the details are completely gone. But it's just helpful to understand what they were doing. So, they used a lot of tools like hierarchy or scale and rhythm in how facade was designed. Alignment is a big thing. A lot of first floor renovations just put windows willy-nilly or walls willy-nilly and nothing is aligned anymore, and it just irks me. Like once you see it, you can't unsee it, so maybe don't read this page. And then depth. A lot of like great cornices. You have all these wonderful pressed metal details in your downtown on the 2nd and 3rd floors, and a lot of good depth. But on the first floors, a lot of depth is missing. So I think, if I had one goal for Seneca Falls, I would say bring back the depth on the first floor pedestrian level. Bring back those cornices, guys. Bring back that signage that jumps out at you. All right. And then it also diagrams some typical blight conditions. So think of this as the one part I wrote where I roast Seneca Falls and just say this is the ugliest building in downtown. It's a mix of all the worst things you can do, right? So it's, putting an undersized window in an upper floor facade and filling in the negative space with vinyl. Who's guilty of that here? Or, taking out a wonderful first floor and just putting up the most flat, mundane signage and storefront you could possibly think of. Or sticking, getting rid of your cornice and putting up siding. You may not see it all downtown Seneca Falls, but you've seen it elsewhere too. So this just kind of playfully highlights that and how to look at and kind of rethink how you look at a building. It talks about storefront transparency. Oftentimes insensitive insensitive renovations historically remove transparency into storefronts. And so that's kind of like a low-hanging fruit often, is just bringing back some transparency. It's in a lot of the examples that are there. And then there's a great section we did on signage. So it not only talks about the types of signage that you're allowed in Seneca Falls, but if you love law, it tells you where to look up each of the laws and what all of the technical jargon is. So if you're like, working at the town and you rip this page out, it might serve you well to hand it out or something. And then it has a couple of best practices of just really nice, engaging storefronts. This one's near where I live. We've got some local examples, some examples of truly what not to do, which in this case is inauthentic materials. In this case, 3 of them in a row, great. And then cases, this just makes you cringe, doesn't it? There's an iron column under that, and they just put sticky stone right over the top of it. And then examples of nice pedestrian level lighting and what not to do. But the goal is, after you're done with, looking through this document, you'll be able to look at facade like that, and your eye will start noticing little things about it that you can't unsee now. And then you'll start to see what it might look like if you added a little bit of depth and new millwork on that facade, and a little bit of signage that projects out and adds some pedestrian flavor. Or, thinking about this kind of building. It's so noticeable because it's just tall. We've all been the tall kid in class, or not. But you have, Greg. And you stick out like a sore thumb sometimes. And so this building is a good example of that, What could a little bit of thinking about what's there that's historic. You've got those pressed metal lintels on the upper floor windows. You've got this wonderful oriel window coming out of the second floor, but you also need a little bit of mason repair, that it's just not doing so great, mainly the painted side, which is a great thing. I'm gonna go on the soapbox here and say, don't paint your brick, please don't paint your brick, unless it's already been painted, there's an asterisk. But how can you, kind of go with some new updates for a building like that? Hair cheap, cool millwork on the bottom, but again, kind of a flat signboard. So, how could we emphasize the two entryways in that storefront and break it up a little bit with some cool signage that pops out at you and maybe stabs you? Liquor store in Sackett's district. This is an example of, I don't know how many people know this, maybe I'm the only one who thought it was new and interesting information. It used to be a 2-story building and it burnt down and they capped it, and that is what remains. Am I right? Am I right?
Not putting a second story on.
No, good. But it also kind of has like a very residential application of siding on it, right? And it's not going to weather well over time. So thinking about how it would maybe have a more interesting kind of commercial siding application, how could it add a little bit of depth to that frontage? And it clearly only uses one of those doors. So if you could just have a little more transparency, get rid of one of the entries you don't need, it might be able to look at something like that. So now you've got a little bit more pedestrian depth. People can hang out under the awning when it rains. I saw some kids skating, so I know they'd probably hang out under there too. So just thinking of, and then this is the king block, the mighty king block. What a cool example of a beautiful upper floor. Just don't look at that part. But the cool thing about this building is that it really illustrates the principle of alignment and repetition. And so if you just take it and you diagram the alignment and repetition of the windows, it kind of designs itself, doesn't it? I'm not trying to give away my secret sauce here, but so just thinking of ways where you can look at what kind of looking at things with these eyes might help you see a project that you might not have known was there yet. So the hope is that these guidelines can be somewhat aspirational as well. And with that, I say thank you for coming. If there's any questions, I'll take them now. If you're an eligible owner, apply today. And the website, which is cut off, is façadegrant.com. It will take you.
Can we hook that up? Can we link it so we can get people? So it's, yeah.
I don't have internet. So
Okay, so this is the Seneca Falls Development Corporation. A lot of the information that is on here, even the slide deck, the letter of intent, the full application will be on an electronic format, and that's all going to be on the SFDC's website. We're also taking the time tonight to record this session, so if folks were unable to attend, thank you to FingerLakes1.com, and that'll be posted on the website as well. And you'll also be able to access that information that's on the SFDC site through the Bonafiglia Family Foundation's website. So that's, there we go. Yeah,
Okay. So when you go to façadegrant.com, it'll just take you directly to this page. That way you don't have to remember SenecaFallsDevCorp.org/program/façade, whatever. So go to façadegrant.com. It'll take you right here. The info session recording is the first link. That's what you're all watching tonight. The slides that James went through will be available. The design guidelines that are here will be downloadable to PDF, just like the others. Your letter of intent. I made it so that when you download the PDF, you don't have to write it out. You can if you want, but you can just type right into the PDF and then send that digitally. And then the online grant application, it's only up right now as an example after I connect to the internet. All right, sorry. And I guess when I close my screen. So this will be open after April 7th, once the letters of intent deadline is passed. So it's pretty simple. Your name, all your applicant info, and like James said, I'm the building owner, operator. I'm the owner, not the operator. I'm the operator of the business, but not the owner. If that is you, or you're a business, then it'll populate that we need the building owner's information so that that person is aware that there might be building it. Estimated cost, if you know it, your short-term, long-term goals, just some other questions here, what you'll be doing, and if you have other, click other, it'll populate and ask what those are. And then it talks about the document requirements that you need. I won't go over all that, but you can upload it right here online, and it'll store the documents on our database. You'll sign it by just typing your name, and then you'll submit the application. If you don't have all of these things yet, you can still submit and then contact us later, or send it directly to Judy, any missing items that you have, at least by the deadline. And, yeah, so it should be pretty simple. If you have questions, problems with it, you can connect with Judy or myself, and we'll do our best to walk you through. But it should be pretty self-explanatory. What I do recommend when you get to the application, you go through it all before you start it, so that you aren't halfway through and then you realize you don't have something that you need and you'll have to come back later and start over. So I just say, go through the whole thing when you can at that moment, and you'll be in a better position when you
Alright,
apply.
can you just show them the letter of intent?
Sure.
Please, yeah.
Letter of intent.
And, we really want to be able to help everyone with this. I know, some of you who are building owners plus operating the storefront at the same time, your capacity is, you're busy and you have a lot going on and you're wearing many hats. So myself, the Bonafiglia Foundation and the SFDC and James, we're here to kind of help you through this process, identify, your needs, and if you're not sure of certain things, come to us, ask us. We want this to be successful and we want to support you, and throughout steps 1, 2, and 3.
So the letter of intent is just a 2-pager. And like I said, when you download the doc, you can just type right into it. You'll check all the boxes of who you are and what you want to do. And James went over that. You know what you want to do. You're ready to roll. You know what you want to do, but you're not ready to roll. You have no idea what you want to do. We'll help you make it roll. The areas you want to improve, and then just a couple little, little information about the overall project you want to do, and then where to submit it. Ideally, you would just email it directly to her, directly to Judy. Her email address is at the bottom of the letter of intent, and that's due April 7th.
Anybody have any questions? James, is there anything else you want to say?
Yeah, preguntas?
Has there been any thought around some kind of theme for the signage? I mean, some of the signs that you showed there, the kind of hanging signs, they look pretty attractive, and I'm just wondering if there's any conversation around having some kind of theme, not mandatory, but here's kind of a recommended, so there's some level of interest or consistency through the downtown.
I typically take the view that I don't like superimposing a theme on anybody. I want them to be creative. And so when you look at the best downtowns, oftentimes that is the case. The thematic element is that they all look really well composed in of themselves. So you can imagine 5 really well executed buildings, one after the other. Even if they had vastly different types of signage, it would probably look pretty cool. So that's kind of the angle I would take, is that, I would say, if it fits the authenticity of your building, the architectural character of your building, go with that, Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. If your services were utilized for helping out with what a project might look like, or coming in to kind of give it a look and share your ideas and things like that, is there a typical fee that we could expect to have to pay for that? No fee.
No fee.
Yeah,
But I also wouldn't expect permit drawings, because that's not really what the service is, So
Right.
there's gotta,
If people aren't situated to take advantage of this go around, will there be subsequent waves, or?
So this is an experiment, and we're hoping that there's so much extra demand for this, and I think there will be, that we can continue this for years to come. So, I think we're hoping for at least 3 runs out of it, maybe more.
I just wanted to take a second to introduce myself. My name is Sarah Ferrara. My brother, my sister, and I own Ferrara Lumber in Seneca Falls. So it may not be right at this very moment, but shortly down the road, once you get into that, you know, we'd be more than happy to help you in any way we can. Whether it's through pricing and things of that nature, you know, I think that's the best way we can kind of give back is to sort of help with that. And then also, not to whatever, but I've got a couple contractors here, Joey Niger, Anthony Davis, and they're, you know, they're in and out of the lumberyard all the time. So we are sort of talking about this with the local contractors, trying to get people involved so that we can all sort of come together to help the process.
Yeah, I want to thank Sarah and Matt and Stefania. You know, again, another barrier we've recognized through conversations that we've had with folks is, right, you don't know what contractors are the right ones to ask, or when it comes time to ask a contractor, you know, they're too busy and you can't get on their list, you know, and they can't help you out at that particular time. So we have been kind of doing some homework in terms of generating sort of a database. You know, it's a reference list of potential contractors, vendors and such that can be utilized for this type of scope of work. Now, not saying that you have to use them again, but just again, a way to help everybody through this process. And Sarah and Farrar Lumber have been helpful with that. Joe Lucchese, I think he's here. He shared some information. Obviously, his building looks great, so he let us know, and Sandroni as well kind of gave some help. So again, it's been a real collective effort in trying to put together the pieces to make this successful.
Well, that's it. And the other thing is we may not have the product that you need based on some of what's going out there. It might be more commercial, but we can help guide you when it gets to that point to work with other people, other options.
So such as the building fund, is there a timeline or a deadline that the work has to be completed by?
Yeah, so it would be based more on the scope. So if the project is larger and it's feasible based on the contractor quote and kind of their timeline, that it needs to take about a year and a half, then we give it a year and a half.
And I'm correct that there's $360,000 allocated for this one, this time
Correct.
around?
Yeah, for this round. Yeah, with $150,000 cash.
150, we can help a lot of people. One other, you talk about barriers, one other barrier that was a big problem with DRI Building Improvement Fund was, no matter what they were doing, even just an awning, where they're not even touching the ladder might touch the ground, they wanted soil vapor intrusion testing, and they wanted all these things with a state requirement. We're not gonna have that. So, if you wanna do an awning, we will not be digging up the back parking lot to make sure something that happened 150 years ago isn't gonna affect the ladder. So, that's a huge barrier.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Some of us applied for a previous grant, the last one, the DRI. I feel like it kind of stalled out, which I'm okay with because I would rather maybe pursue this. You know, that's, you know, the bill essentially. So I'm just sort of wondering, can we use some of those rendered drawings and stuff, and can I kind of go off of that if we want for this?
Yeah, I don't know, you can certainly use drawings, but anything that's been approved, if you are in the, if the scope's been approved and the project's in motion, it's gonna be very difficult for us to tell the state.
Okay. Well, I haven't heard anything in months, so.
And that's pretty typical.
So I don't know what is actually going on.
That's another barrier that'll be eliminated.
Yes.
We're gonna have more
Communication.
communication, a lot more faster.
The other thing, and Jim, thanks for bringing that up, is, so obviously there's people have been awarded the building improvement fund, you know, money, and then the DRI project, so this is supposed to, the intent is this builds off of that. So say, for example, you were awarded funds through the building improvement fund or the DRI project, and a certain scope of your work isn't covered by that, and you wanted to utilize it, that's potentially, but you can't kind of tack this on as the cover funding for a project that's already been approved through another program, if that makes sense. This is kind of in addition to.
You can append to it, it can complement
Okay.
a program.
So I can do the facade work and then separate if it was interior work, whatever.
Yeah, this wouldn't cover anything interior anyhow,
Yeah,
so.
okay.
That'd be a good way to split it actually, is find a nice chunk of that exterior scope and just take it out and put it to this. You know?
Okay.
That way you don't have to worry about any lines getting crossed.
Okay.
Anything else? Right? Are there any local historic commissions that are gonna have a weigh-in? I don't know, so normally if there's for the national assuming since it's a privately funded grant, only local historic districts could have a way, if at all. I don't know if they do or not.
So yeah, everything that will take place, like each individual project will have to be submitted like individually to the Historic Preservation Commission for.
Which is a local
their-
entity
yeah.
here in Seneca Falls. Because a lot of these projects are, our downtown is part of like the historic district, and so that's kind of what these design guidelines are set up for, to mirror the, you know, so we're not butting heads with the HPC, but also these are just like national standards and guidelines that any sort of historic district would have to kind of abide by.
Like if you really wanted to be clever, double dip into historic preservation tax credits and do this grant, woo-wee, and those guidelines would help you with all of it.
James can help with that. Anything else, anybody? Again, thank you so much for taking the time to come and be a part of the conversation. We're really excited about this, and, you know, we're here, you know, to stay after if anybody has individual questions that they might want to ask us. Got some treats from Cafe 19, so take them on your way out, and thanks again.